All right, what's going on, fam?
What's up, fam?
What's up, everybody? Sure, if people come tapping in,
That's it.
welcome to Get the Bag podcast episode 3. We got a really special episode today. I'm like so excited um, for today's episode because we have our very own special guest today, somebody super special who,
Yes,
man, y'all better save this at your reminders, save
I
this to
know.
your YouTube videos because there's about to be so many gems dropped today.
Amazing.
This guy, there's like so much I can say about him. He's also part of the ChargedUp U fam. Shout out to the U.
Yep. Shout out to the
Uh,
you.
he's been in real estate for I think a little over a year. I think he joined the ChargeUp U fam in July of 2020. We'll definitely get his thoughts on that. But this guy is like you call him like fundamentals. This guy picked up the playbook and ran with it and has succeeded and hasn't
Yes.
looked back. He started with a corporate job and
Correct.
quit recently, I think this past August, I should say, and has committed to being a full-time investor and isn't stopping. Like I'm so excited to
Yeah.
pick his brain. Such a pleasure to have him on here. Such an honor. My guy, Jeff Trimble. Let's
Yes,
add him on. Let's
Jeff.
add him
Let's
on.
go. Let's go. Let's go.
What's going
Hey,
on? What's happening,
what's
What's
fam?
going
up?
on?
My guy, Jeff.
That's what's
Yeah,
Man,
up.
I just want to say again, yeah, appreciate you hopping on. We had to end the year with the bang, and
I
we
who
know.
got
only to
to.
bring on than Jeff,
Come
man?
on.
Freedom
Bring on the
Flames. Come on.
bangers.
Himself.
That's right. That's right. We'll definitely talk a little bit more about that. You talked about you maybe starting a podcast and kind of what you're doing with your content, but man, so excited to have you on here. So
Thank you.
today's topic is how to divorce your 9 to 5, and who else to ask than Mr. 9 to 5 dropout, right? That's
Yep.
that's your
Nine to
Yeah,
five dropout.
that's your brand name.
that's
Um,
right. That's right.
yeah. So one of the questions I did want to kick off is like, what was Jeff doing before real estate? Because I was correct, right? You joined the U in July of 2020 or so.
It was October of 2020. I actually started
Oh,
host.
snap.
Yeah, I started
Okay.
wholesaling in July of 2020.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Man, so you started and like just kicked it off right. So what were you doing before even like making that decision in July to get into wholesaling? Like
Yeah.
tell us a little bit your little backstory on that.
Yeah, so my background is in operations management. So before I actually got into real estate, I was working for Walmart supply chain as an area manager. So I was responsible for the shipping operations of the Dallas Fort Worth area and making sure that we got the groceries, which was my specific segment, to the various Sam's Clubs and Walmarts that we serviced. And so that was kind of what I was doing prior to. I had recently, right before I got into real estate, I recently got promoted to a project manager role, which was a
Mm,
little bit more high level and a little bit more strategic. But for the most part, it was purely supply chain management.
Mm.
gotcha. Wow. Yeah, that's no joke.
No, it wasn't.
No.
I've been a management in project management for the last couple of years in my current 9 to 5. So I still have a 9 to 5. I haven't divorced it,
Yeah.
but with the plan eventually, of course. But what kind of like what was that pivotal moment that was like, all right, I need to get into real estate? Because sounds like
Yeah.
it was a pretty good paying job. I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
It
I'm like,
was.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, no cap, it was. I mean, they literally so I'm originally from Little Rock, Arkansas. So that job actually relocated me, my wife and my daughter down to the Dallas, Texas area. They paid for everything, they took care of us. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
was a good gig. And then, like I said, I had recently got promoted. So what kind of got us into real estate was actually a conversation that my wife stem from, and that's
Mm,
the reason why it's important to have you somebody who is gonna push you and really encourage you to
Yes.
fulfill the potential
absolutely.
that is in you. my wife was talking and she was like, listen, we need to get another stream of income. We're putting all of our eggs in one basket with our, our 9 to 5s, and we need to make sure that we have security outside of this. So I was like, okay, I hear you. Well, what do you want to get into? And so she was like, well, real estate. I was like, well, that's really broad. Let me go do some research
Right.
and, kind of figure out where we start in there. So I went in, I think I put in real estate investing, and one of the first videos that popped up was Jerry Norton. I forget, he's called the Flipster or something like that. He has
Right.
his own platform. I think he's out of Phoenix. And Jerry it was a video that said like 18 steps to wholesaling. Now, before I watched that video, I had actually had an associate of mine, probably 6 to 7 months prior, tell me, I used to always joke around with my associates. It was a Friday, and I told him, I said, his name was Nicholas Wesley. I said, Wesley, man, why are you always so disgruntled at work? He was one of them guys that, he never really smiled or nothing. He was like, I was like, man, you're getting paid good. It's a Friday. He's like, man, I'm not here for the money. I was like, what do you mean you're not here for the money? Because I don't know a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys didn't even have degrees and everything, and they was making good money. So
Right.
I'm like, what do you mean by that? He was like, man, I'm in real estate. I said, oh, okay, you're a realtor. He said, no, I'm a real estate investor.
Yeah.
I was like, so what does that mean? And he was like, well, I find, he taught what we do.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
finds distressed properties. He sells the contracts. I was like, but you're not a realtor? He's like, yeah. I said, all right, you're doing something illegal. That's what I said in my mind.
Right. Everybody thinks it, right?
I know,
Like,
everybody.
It's too good to be true.
That's right. I was like, you know what? Don't even tell me no more, because I don't need the feds coming to me asking me what you're doing. And so when I watched Jerry's video, it was like it clicked for me, because I was like, man, that is exactly what that guy was telling me. So after I watched the video, first off, I called him. I found him at work and I asked him for his number. We connected after work. I said, man, I wanted to apologize because I kind of wrote off what you told me. I was like, now, can I get an hour of your time? And man, he really gave me some tools to get me started. So that's kind of how I got into real estate.
Wow,
That's
and the rest
great.
is history, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you just like dug in deep after that.
Oh yeah. It wasn't, feeling wasn't an option. Like, if I was
Yeah.
going to do it, and that's one thing I say to anybody watching is, if you're going to do it, don't dip your toe in the water. You got to jump in.
You got to
Because if
jump
you
in.
dip
Yeah.
your toe in the water, that's going to take you longer to get your deal. Just period. The longer it takes you to get your deal, the less likely you're going to stick with it. So just
Right.
go all in from the start.
So was this your first business that you ever did for
It
like as an
was.
entrepreneur? Yeah.
It was. This was my first entrepreneur experience. Outside of that, I have ran different business segments. I've had a background even back in college. In my fraternity, I was the president of the fraternity. So there were a lot of things that we had to do. I was the president of the council, which was 9 other fraternities and sororities. So that was a whole nother thing. And, I supervised and managed different segments of businesses. But, in terms of like running a business myself, this was my first venture.
The other question I had was, what skills do you think your 9 to 5 kind of helped you with your real estate business?
Man, that's a good question, Tim. Process rigor. So for anybody who's not familiar with what process rigor means, process rigor is basically a fancy way of saying process discipline. If you want to run a business, there has to be processes that is followed regardless of the situation for you to have a sustainable business. So from the start, when I first started my business, I was like, man, we got to build this thing out for me to be able to scale on it.
Right.
Because when you have a process, you're able to say, all right, this is how I do onboarding. So when I onboard 4 or 5 people later, I don't have to worry about changing that up because I know what the process is. And so
Right.
process discipline definitely is what I took from my job.
I think that's so true because any job that you go to, you have to go through their process. And as an
Yes.
That's right.
employee, you don't even think about this as a process. This is just something I have to do for my job.
a meeting I have to join to like
Exact-
meet HR.
That's right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love
And then you have to implement and in your business, right?
Yeah,
And create those processes. And so when you do onboard people like VAs or some other employee, then they can go through that same process.
that's right.
I always say that, people try to knock not that like having a 9 to 5, but if you have a really like, say you had a profession as your 9 to 5, like there's so many gems you can take from that. Like I talk about that in my content a lot. Like there's stuff I do in my 9 to 5 that has helped me become a
Yes,
better business owner. And even then, like I always talk about becoming a business owner is also has helped my 9 to 5 too, because I've become more efficient and
Hmm.
smart with my time.
that's right.
So kind of flipping back. So you started in the October 2020, which is crazy. It's
Yeah,
Hmm.
crazy to think about, like
yeah,
the
it
jump you've
is.
had. So like from that time that you joined, how long did it take for you to get your deal, or like what sort of process did you have up until that point?
Yeah, so I remember the reason why I remembered I started wholesaling in July of 2020 was because we had actually went home, right? Uh, and when we went home, we actually went home for the 4th of July. It was the middle of the pandemic. We hadn't been home since they shut down everything. And so I was like, all right. So I'm sitting at my mom's house. I'm literally calling people and texting people from my cell phone, not aware of any laws or anything like that. I'm like literally, I got a spreadsheet of phone numbers and I'm texting people, are you interested in selling your house? I had received a text message back, and the guy was like, yeah, I'm interested. I was like, oh crap, what's next? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
this is my first person, so I got my tools. I was using Propelio at the time to do comps. And I went in, I looked at the comps, and to be honest, y'all, I just threw a number out. I didn't know if it
Hmm.
was a good number or not. And we're texting back and forth, and he's like, "Well, what are you thinking? What are you offering?" I think I told him like $12,000. He's
Hmm.
like, "Okay, well," he's like, "I can do 15." And I'm looking, I'm like, 15 just looks a little too high. I said,
Right.
"Can you do 12.5?" He said, "Yes."
Oh,
First contract, right?
wow.
This was like I had probably been going for about a week now. All right.
Mm.
Mm.
So I was using Flipman's contract, title Flipman. Didn't have DocuSign. My wife was in the other room. I said, baby, I need you to write up this contract because my handwriting is terrible. So she wrote up the contract and I accidentally had her to put the wrong thing in the wrong spot. So then I had her to write it again. And so
Oh
she's
my
frustrated with
gosh.
me at this time her hands hurting. And so I mean that long story short, that first opportunity ended up falling through, but that was my first I guess you can
Experience.
say contract. I
Yeah.
got my first deal. I think we closed on our first deal in September. It was the day after Labor Day. And so it took me right at about what's that, August, September, about 2 months to close out my first deal.
Mm.
And this is without any like guidance from, say, a whole
YouTube
it's
University,
YouTube,
baby.
YouTube, right?
YouTube. That's
Hey,
Yeah.
crazy.
shout out to YouTube University, because
Hey.
Yeah.
it's gotten us through. But you kind of had that awareness, right? You're like, hey, I see the bigger picture. I
Yeah.
can't just keep doing this.
Yeah.
What guides you to Chris? Like, how did you kind of
Hmm.
land there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the closer Olympics was kind of it was talk going on about that, and I was following a lot of the big wigs. Chris Jefferson being one of them. Once again, shout out to the U.
Shout
All right.
out.
Shout out to you.
But I was watching like videos, and I was like, man, this guy Chris, I identify with a lot of the things he's saying. Like I was listening to a lot of people on the phones. I was like, man, the way he talks to sellers, the
Right.
way he is handling rebuttals, like his personality type. And no,
Hmm.
and the reason why is because we both Leo, so I get it.
Y'all
But
hams.
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm like, man, I get this guy. And I went on his page, followed him, was looking at the U and everything, because I think it had just launched in like May of that year. And I
Hmm.
was like, man, let me give this a try. So, I got plugged in, and man, the community was amazing.
Hmm.
To say that joining that, I do not believe that had I not joined the U, I don't believe I would have quit I know I would have quit my job because I'm a dog. Like it was gonna
Right.
happen, right?
Right.
But I don't think I would have done it as soon and been as comfortable because I've seen it in our community and I had the support of those around me to let me know that I could do it.
Right.
I love that.
That's
Man,
awesome.
shout out to Chris,
I know,
just
Yeah,
right?
changing
shout out to Chris.
lives, right? So from the time you joined the U, how quickly were you able to get your first deal? Or kind of like take us through the steps as far as, because you talk about your process rigor. I'm sure
Yeah,
that's something like when you kind of had an idea, you got your first deal before joining the U. Like what?
yeah.
Take us through like what that process was like to land your deal, and then like kind of take you down the line.
Yeah, so it was either September or October when I joined the U. So I had closed my first deal in September. I closed another one in October, and I think that was it had to be late September, early October when I joined because I used that money to. I was like,
Right.
okay, I'm gonna invest this. I didn't close my next deal until November. It was the week. It was the week of Thanksgiving, and it was a package of 5 ran down properties on one street, and I ended up closing on them. So I would say, are you asking me what was the first things I did in my process to change them?
Right, that kind of
Okay.
like, because you learn from those first deals,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
absolutely.
and then kind of join the your eyes are open, like, oh
Yeah.
snaps, like it's a whole new world. So what kind of processes did you put in place to land you that deal, or at least kind of get things going in your business?
The first thing I changed was my script because I didn't really have a script. At that
Mm,
time, I was doing the cold calling, I was doing everything, right? So I realized, dang, like, how am I making phone calls? If I'm gonna hire somebody else, I need to build out a script. So I literally took Coach's script and I kind of dovetail or not dovetailed it, but tailor made it to fit kind of a little bit more of me. But that it was all Coach,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
and people knew it because when we would do the roll call role plays, they'd be like, "Dang, like that was a bar that Coach." I was like, "Yup, that's right." So I changed the script. I think not to I also watched all of his videos and my main focus was, man, what is the first thing, what is the first touch point for my sellers? So my first, I say probably 30 to 60 days was what vernacular, how do I talk to sellers? Because that's gonna be the premise for what I build off of.
Right.
For anybody watching this, if you want a profitable wholesale business, it starts with lead generation. The leads got to come in consistently. The more leads you have, the more
Yep.
opportunity you will have to do volume. So that was my main thing. I was like, man, okay, so when a seller says this, how does Coach respond to that? Oh, okay, because this is a millionaire, a
Right.
multi-millionaire that we're
Right.
talking to
Right.
consistently. I'm like, if he's doing it, why am I trying to reinvent the wheel? And it worked
Right.
because, like I said, I just identified with the way he did. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like me. So let me just do that. So that's kind of
Hmm.
the first process I modified.
And that's the important thing about that the coach's course is that you have to follow exactly the steps that he puts in place, and if you do that, then you will close the deal. So
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I feel like people try to complicate it
They
too.
do.
It's like it's too obvious or it's too simple to have a whole full course where, and he talks
Hmm.
about it too in our calls, right? Like, guys, I give you the playbook. You just
Yeah,
got to run it. And you're like, I think he calls you Mr. Fundamentals, Mr. Tim Duncan, right? Because like you
yeah,
literally
yeah,
follow everything to the T.
yeah.
Obviously you add your little personality to it, but like you seriously sound like Chris, and we'd be like,
Yeah,
hey, that's a Chris bar.
yeah.
But you've kind of probably developed your own
Sure.
bars too.
hmm
But like it's really not, we complicate it. We as like
Yeah.
human beings, like especially if we're process oriented kind of
Hmm.
people. We try to like analyze everything.
yeah,
But y'all, if the playbook is there, just follow the plays
Yeah.
and the rest follows.
I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. And so we say
Right.
YouTube University is great, right? And it is, but it can also put you in analysis paralysis because you got 15 different, platforms that are telling you the same thing different ways. And so
Mm-hmm.
you get so stuck in, some people's philosophy is before you get started, you need to get a title company or attorney. You need to have buyers. You need to reverse engineer your buyers. Like, that didn't resonate with me. I was like, why am I thinking about getting buyers and I don't even have a contract?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That was the
When you
same way
got
with me.
Tim, if you're a buyer, the conversation is going to be way more beneficial if I'm bringing a suitcase of money to you and saying, hey, here's $20,000 right here. How
Exactly.
much you gonna pay me for this? Versus me
Exactly.
saying, hey Tim, if I brought you $20,000, how much would you pay? You'd be like, man, you're a
Mm-hmm.
joke.
Right.
I'm having these conversations with 10 other people like you. So I think so many people get caught up in, okay, let me get my title company, let me do this, let me do that. Man, the first thing, and this is what I took from Chris that I really identify with. The first thing that I wanted to do is make sure that I was talking to sellers, and that's what he teaches you. Man, talk with sellers,
Yep.
get on the phone, get the leads, and fail forward. It is absolutely fine for you not to know the next thing to do once you get the contract. That's a
Yeah.
good position to be in, and
Yeah.
that's just what resonated with me.
Yeah. And I think that's the hardest thing for some people. Excuse me. That it's just to get on the phones because you are going to make those mistakes and you are going to fail forward. It's just you have to go through that process just to be better on talking to sellers or
That's
even
right.
other people in the industry so you can network as well.
Yeah. It's so funny, Jeff, because I remember around like November, I think Clubhouse became a thing.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
remember, we started like doing our little tap in like rooms where and I remember too, because it was around this time last year, we each like went around and set each other's goals.
hmm,
And you had, I think, had already hired a VA, and you're like, I want to do this and that. Can't remember like specifically, but I was like, this guy's on a mission.
yeah,
I mean, we all were, but it was kind of like, like we're just throwing stuff out. And to see you now, it's pretty crazy. Now, we'll definitely ask like what your goals are for the upcoming year. But
sure.
at what point early, at this point last year, were you like, I can actually like this is looking like a legit business. Like leads are coming in.
Yeah,
What was that pivotal moment for you where you're like, huh, I can go full-time
Hmm.
investing,
yeah.
to quit your 9 to 5. Like was that always your a reminder? Like was it something that you kind of set goals where you're like, okay, if I'm able to save this much or get to this amount, I can quit.
When I first got into real estate, it was not my intent to do it full time. That
Mm.
wasn't why
Right.
I started.
It never is.
I
Yeah.
initially started it because my wife had stated that we needed to do that. For me, we had did a deal. Our first deal, I think it was like an $8,000 deal. So it wasn't one of those home runs, but it was like I remember when that. I
Hey, I'll
remember
take
when
$8,000 right now.
Man,
Right.
listen.
Right.
I remember when that wire hit my account. I was like, they gonna come back for this. Like they gonna reverse this
It wasn't
wire.
real.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, there's no way. And like that second deal, that was a Dallas deal. It was. I think we ended up doing like 20,000 on that. I'm like,
Mm.
this is crazy. Like, are you kidding me? And they started coming, and they started coming, and I started doing the math. I was like, wait a minute.
Hmm.
It is from July, and it was months. I told you guys it was months where we
Right.
didn't do deals because I was just getting started. We didn't do
Yeah.
any deals in July. We didn't
Hmm.
do any deals in August. I told y'all we did one in September. We did one in October, and we did that little package deal in November. And I think it was one other small one that closed in November. We didn't do any revenue in December. From July to December of that year, we did 40,000. It was like $44,000. I
Mm.
was like, something's not adding up here. Like,
Hmm. Right.
I just
Right.
did $44,000 doing this part time, not knowing what the heck I was doing for a good amount, and still kind of figuring it out.
In
Which
a
is the
short
why
amount of
the reason.
time.
Yeah, which is the reason why I'm in a coaching program. This can be
Right.
a full time gig, and I loved it because I enjoyed what I did and I realized I was good at it. And so I was like, man, this is a goal of mine. So I started having a conversation with my wife. And guys, I mean, 2021, it was crazy.
Mm,
It
right.
was crazy.
Right.
Like the numbers that we did, I mean, I'm thankful to God. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And so
Yeah, absolutely.
by April, I think so I started talking with my wife about it like in December. Hey, I'm thinking about doing this full time. She's like, okay, cool. We start talking about numbers, we start talking about
Hmm.
time frames. Just for everyone here, our original time frame was February of 2022. I was
Yeah.
gonna get my bonus check. I was gonna get my stock payout from Walmart, and I was
Mm,
gonna bounce. That
right.
Mm,
was the goal.
right, right.
And we started doing revenue, and I was like, October. Then we started doing more revenue. I was like, August.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it just happened. You know, the numbers washed out, and for those who are nervous about that, because the facts of the matter is, you're never going to be prepared to quit your
Mm-mm.
job.
Right.
Never,
Yeah.
because that's not how we're wired. We are taught that you need to go to school. If you don't go to school, go get you a trade, go do something that's going to set you up to go work for somebody else and work your way up that ladder. Work
Yeah.
your
Hmm.
way up to a VP for somebody else. Work
Right.
your
Hmm.
way up to a C-level executive for somebody else. So when you take that mindset that's been ingrained in you for 20 plus years, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And you say, all right, I want to go against the grain and do that for myself, it's a mental block. You're gonna
Yeah.
be scared,
Yeah.
but when you jump in, man,
Like you said,
you
no
won't
Yeah.
regret
toes.
it.
No
Yes.
Yes,
toes.
Yeah.
you won't regret it.
Like coach says, slow feet don't eat, right?
Slow feet
So,
don't
That's
eat.
right.
That's
yeah,
facts.
Wow.
man. So
Shout
that
out
kind
to the
of,
wife too, by the way.
yes,
Ah,
yes, support.
let me tell you
That's
something
one
about
thing
my
me and
wife.
Gladia, yeah.
Let me tell you something about my wife. My wife is amazing. Right now, we were messaging before this, like it's some different businesses that we're about to set up that are going to be um, kind of filter off of our real estate business, and she's
Perfect.
doing that. You know, she's resetting passwords because I don't know, and she's watching this. She probably gonna text me. She sent me the code to Linktree, and no, it was Square App. She sent me the code or
Mm-hmm.
the password, and the password ain't matching up. And she told me she thinks I changed it, but I just think she sent me the wrong password. I don't know. But
Mm.
the facts are she's working. And she supports me. She's on this live now. And if it wouldn't be for her, I probably wouldn't have been in real estate. So you definitely gotta pay respect to my wife. This is not all me. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Miss
Yeah.
Mrs. Trimble, the real MVP.
Exactly.
She used
Exactly.
to write bandit songs. We used to
Oh, wow.
before we got into the U, we were doing bandit songs. We would wake up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and go put out
Oh,
bandit songs.
Wow.
Yeah, to be her, my daughter be in the
That's
back sleep drilling and all that stuff.
wow.
that's that
Yeah,
teamwork. That's that
that's
teamwork,
right. That's right.
man. I was going to ask you, going back to the planning from the 9 to 5 to the real estate, was, I know that you didn't really, you ran the numbers, right? And
Mm.
then you kind of made a kind of decision on exactly kind of when that was going to happen. What was that point of, planning to actually pulling the trigger for you after talking to your wife about that?
Pulling the trigger for
Uh, Quitting your 9 to 5.
once she gave me her blessing, it was like, okay,
That
as
was
soon as
it.
possible,
Yeah.
because I needed her to be comfortable. Because the
Yeah.
facts of the matter are the normal thing that happens when you do this, which is the reason why I'm thankful to God that this didn't occur for us. But usually there's a struggle period,
Mm-hmm.
especially when
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
there's a good amount of revenue coming in from one side. Somebody steps
Mm-hmm.
away to do what they love and they're passionate about that they think could
Yeah.
be beneficial for them. It takes time to get there. And so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what that was going to look like for us. So I wanted to make sure she was comfortable and confident in her ability to support us if she has to,
Mm-hmm.
as well as to know it could potentially take time. So when she said she was good,
Right.
I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna do this yesterday. You said I can do it now. I'm putting in my 2
Right.
weeks yesterday.
Here's my
Right.
notice.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
my
funny.
goodness. So you kind of had like you're a KPI guy as well, like
Yeah.
talking about process. So was there a
Mm-hmm.
certain like KPI like, all right, I need to reach this much amount of deals, this number of deals to feel confident? Like how did obviously February, you would still
Hmm.
have your 9 to 5. You probably wouldn't even be able to do this podcast if you
Hmm.
were still working.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think what was it, June that you put in, you quit, I think.
No, I put my 2 weeks notice in. I actually put my I literally, it was a few days after my wife told me she was okay with it,
Okay.
because
Okay.
it was July, we just had my birthday, we revisit the conversation, and she said, Jeff, do it. And I'm like, okay, well,
Mm.
what about this one? She's like, Jeff, do it. I said, all right, okay. So I literally put it
Hey,
in.
she
I
told
think
you
my last,
twice, bro.
she did.
Right.
She told you twice. You were like, huh? What?
Yeah, because I was like, I thought you said. She was like, just do it. So I think my last day was like August the 29th.
Mm,
For me, G, I think so. It was 1 month. It was 1 month in I think it was April. It was April or May. We had did, I think we did $78,000 in revenue. It was 1 month,
Mm.
highest month that we had had. And I was like, why am I still working? That's 1 month,
Mm.
78 grand.
Mm.
We're not supposed to see that kind of money.
right.
Yeah.
None of us on this
Yeah.
call.
Right.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
that month is really when I was like, man, it is time to really make this decision, because at this point, I'm having slow feet. I'm not
Yeah.
Mm,
betting on myself.
Mm.
And that was the real thing. The KPIs weren't really the thing that made it, G. It
mhm.
was obviously God has placed something inside of me that is beyond what I'm comfortable with. When am I going to stop playing with myself and
Mm.
Mm,
step into this so that I can make that consistent?
Mm-hmm.
mm.
Like, it should be $78,000 every month. Why
Yeah.
not? If you
Yeah.
can do it
Right.
1 month, you can do it every month.
Right.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so for me, I think that was the largest thing.
I think we talked about this in the last podcast too. Is like, sometimes we get in our own head about um, what we're able to do um,
Those
with our,
voices in our
yeah,
head.
the
Yeah,
voices, right, right. So you were kind of stopping your own self a little bit before
yeah,
you actually pulled that trigger, right? So,
yeah. And the voice that is in your head is, it's a lot of it is yourself, but a lot of it also has to do with the people who are around you. See, when
oh
you
yeah,
have folks that are around you that are saying, yeah, Jeff, you can absolutely do $78,000 again, versus people who are saying, yeah, that was just luck. Like, no, you
Mm,
mm,
shouldn't quit your job. Like, you don't know, you're gonna interact differently.
yes,
So
yes,
if you are struggling with mindset, the first thing that I would ask for you to do is, one, check where your source is coming from. I
mm.
know everybody doesn't is not a believer, and whatever that is, I don't want to offend anybody, but
yeah,
I'm not gonna stop talking about what my source is, because if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here.
mm-hmm,
My
Right.
source is Him, so
yeah,
I'm plugged in, I'm tapped in, because if I can't pour, if I'm a glass, I cannot pour into another glass if I don't have water from my source.
right,
Mm,
So that's the first thing. The second thing is, you need to check your circle.
mm-hmm,
Like, for real. If you got people who are around you who are not believing, who are apprehensive, who are holding you back. I posted on my Instagram the other day, and but I love music. So Big Sean had stated a statement in his song, and the song said, if you hold me down, then I gotta remove you. If
yep,
you in my
mm,
way, then I gotta go
go
through you.
through you, yep,
mm.
That's facts.
yeah,
That's a
That's
bar.
man, that is a bar.
that
That's a
is a
That's
bar.
a
bar.
bar.
Wow. So I mean, for anybody, I guess it really starts with mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It sounds like I think we try to. I mean, not to say there's nothing wrong with writing down like, all right, I need to get to this amount. But maybe that's a way in your head where you're like, I don't know if I'll reach it, and I'll just throw a number. I'm not going to reach it, so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. So kind of is it really like the mentality that like kind of got you through to quit your 9 to 5? Because maybe it was the wife's like confirmation that made you
Mm,
like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
Along with that mentality and your faith and your support system, which I think we talked about in the first episode, is the people around you. Because I feel like our regional groups like really uplift
They
me,
do.
yeah.
and putting those people that understand my circumstances
Mm-hmm.
is really helpful. And you're really fortunate to have a wife that like also kind of gets it as well.
Yeah.
Not many people have that. So it
No.
sounds like, yeah, like the stars aligned in a
Yeah.
sense for you.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
was. To be honest with you, being successful in anything is a mindset. There
Right.
was a period
Yeah.
of time in my life where, in the course of about a year and 7 months, I had lost 83 pounds naturally.
Mm.
No
Wow.
supplements. I just committed to it.
Mm-hmm.
Going and getting my MBA. I got my master's in business administration. That was hard. My
Yeah.
undergraduate degree was not a business degree. I
Mm,
studied psychology. I wanted to own my own practice and be a licensed practical counselor,
mm,
for mental health and for family therapy. Well, started working at HP, loved business, right? I was
mm-hmm.
like, man, this is a whole nother world. I just committed to that. It's certain things like with us making a transition from Little Rock to Dallas, two different worlds.
Yeah.
Arkansas is so much slower than it is here. It's crazy.
I
They
bet.
even drive. Arkansas is so much different from Texas is that you even drive differently.
Yeah.
People drive faster here. They have somewhere to be. So committed to that process. For me, it is mindset, but you got to set a goal and you have to unrelentlessly go after that goal.
Yeah.
If your goal is to create another form of income, why are you going at it with part-time thoughts?
Mm,
Mm.
Just go at it with, man, I want to create as much income as I absolutely can here and let whatever is gonna blossom.
right.
Everybody is not designed to be an entrepreneur.
That's
Right.
true. That's true.
It's not this life ain't for everybody.
No.
But that doesn't mean you can't have a beautiful life by still having an entrepreneur mindset and
Mm-hmm.
still working somewhere else that you may really, enjoy.
Right.
Right.
And a lot of people might not have that entrepreneur mindset, but they know their particular skill, right?
Yeah,
So they can work a 9 to 5 job and do contract work
that's
on
right.
the side and, get clients that way and maybe, go Upwork or whatever the case may be, Fiverr, put their skills on there and just work that. And, you don't have to start a full flown business like you have or we
That's right.
have. You can just start small like that. So I think a lot of people get in their heads, like you're saying, that they're going to start a whole new business aside from working their 9 to 5, right?
Yeah,
So there's other ways to jump in.
it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
I think that's a really important point you just point out. Not everyone's built for it, and that's okay. I feel like social media and today's society tries to
Yeah,
like throw it down our throats. Be an
Hmm.
yeah,
entrepreneur, which yeah, sure, tax benefits, whatever the case may be,
Hmm.
but like you can't force somebody that's not there. I hope to hire people that maybe don't want to be entrepreneurs. Hey,
right,
come on my team, join my
Yeah.
team.
exactly,
I'll take care of you.
Yeah.
But I think society also puts that pressure on people, and they're not even following their own vision or goals. It's like, well, they told me I should do this. I should start an LLC. I should get an S corp.
Hmm.
Like, and they have no idea what they're doing. So I think it starts with you first. Like,
Yeah.
what what do I want? What makes me happy? And I think Chris does a really great job whenever he talks about like what your ultimate goal is. Like, he's like, envision the life you want.
Yeah,
Now, what is it going to take for you to get that?
that's
Figure
right.
that out, right? So I just love that. It doesn't, everybody's journey is different, and we all
Yeah.
try to like point fingers. It's easily to be like, damn, Jeff, damn, another deal, man.
Hmm.
Instead,
Mhm.
and some people may be like, why can't I be like that?
Hmm.
Instead, like I talked to Tim about this last week,
Mhm.
was like, let me go to the source. So like
Hmm.
I've contacted you, right, Jeff? I was like,
Mhm.
what are you doing? How are you doing this? How
Mhm.
like tell me your process, because it's obviously working for you.
Yeah,
And let me take some pieces and add it to my process, and see how it works for me as well. So it's also that support system where it's like, I want you to keep, I want you to keep posting deals. I want
yeah,
Tim to keep posting deals because that inspires me. And I think that's kind of the support system you want, where you want people like asking the right questions, not just, asking for, not just taking from you. Like it's all
Yeah.
that's
about
right.
adding value.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
facts. And I think the portion that keeps people the thing that keeps people from reaching their full capacity is having a scarcity mindset.
Mhm.
A scarcity mindset says, I'm successful, or I've found this new fountain of youth, and I'm not going to share this with nobody else because I
Mhm.
need
Mm,
to get as much as this as I absolutely can before
right.
somebody else finds out about it.
Right.
Well, what I always say is that each of us have gifts, and the whole thing about life is finding what is your gift and giving it.
Right.
Our gifts are not for us.
Mm,
I realize what my gift is. My gift is the power of influence.
Mhm.
I can influence people. And so when you walk in that, you when you fully walk in whatever it is that your gift is, unrelentlessly, blessings come. Like they pour over.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that coach had inspired us to do, and I will forever be thankful to him about this, was he was like, why are y'all not posting about y'all businesses on your Facebook,
Yeah.
on your
right.
Exactly.
Instagram?
Yeah.
Y'all will post what is it, shade room, or you will repost this or you'll repost that, or you go, why are you not posting about your business? And I was like, dang, why am
Right.
I not? And I had to search my heart. And the
Mhm.
reason why I wasn't posting is because I didn't want nobody to say, oh, Jeff is boasting.
Yeah.
Jeff is stunning. Because that's where I'm from. That's where I'm from.
Mhm.
If you got something, you ain't supposed to tell people what you got.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some folks are running your front door and take it from you. That's where I'm
Cocky.
from.
You're cocky.
That's right. You
Right.
cocky, but when you're walking in your full purpose, you don't care. I don't care what anybody thinks about
Yeah.
me,
You shouldn't
because
care. Yeah.
the people who I'm supposed to influence is gonna get it. The
Mm.
people who
Right.
I'm not, they gonna get it too. I
Yep.
don't care.
Right.
I'm
Yep.
Right.
I'm just wanting to be the absolute best influencer that I can. And a byproduct of that is success. I had a good friend of mine that I went to middle school with. He reached out to me around this time last month, and actually a couple months ago, and said, "Hey, my mother, she has something going on. She's actually going to be relocating down here to the Fort Worth area with me. I see what you're doing with real estate. Can you help us out?" We ended up closing on that deal a couple weeks ago. That was
That's
Mm,
something,
amazing.
and I've had that happen several times since I've been promoting on my page.
Mhm.
So
right.
that's just a byproduct of walking in what I'm supposed to be walking in. And
Right.
so when we say not to get analysis paralysis, that means you need to get the information, enough of it for you to be able to take action.
Yep.
And then you need to unplug from that for a little bit. And you need to go to work. You
That's
just
it.
got to go to work. Put your head down. Do what you're supposed to
100%.
do. When you reach a new hurdle where you're like, all right, I don't know what needs to happen now, go back, get some more information, and rinse and repeat.
That's 100%. I mean, like just and that what you said there about, posting and then you're not boasting, you're just posting and telling people what you do,
Yeah.
but also it creates inbound, leads
Yeah.
for you, right? And I think that's a lot of people miss that aspect of it, it's another way to generate some business, right?
Hmm.
So that's another way to look at it instead of you being cocky or you're trying to show off or whatever the case may be. But I think it's you
Right.
have to take it from a business standpoint instead of what you personally feel inside or your experience throughout your life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people thinking you're boasting are small-minded. Again, that like scarcity like mindset. But I think that we've talked about this before too. Is like your network. We try to
Hmm.
think like, oh, we have to network up, network with the people that you know. I think
That's
Yeah.
last
right.
week our topic was sports. It's like reach out to old teammates or like
Hmm.
old colleagues that you knew. You never know like what they may need. Um, I think something similar to me happened too, where like somebody had reached out, like, "Hey, I see what you're doing. Like, what, like, tell me about it." And that's a way for me to again network with other people that can bring on um, more people that I can work with, that I can inbound. And I think it was yesterday we were on our West Coast regional call and we had a new member join,
Hmm.
and she was like, I saw your interview with Chris last year, and that's the reason that I joined.
Mhm.
First question, I was like, all right, do you use my referral link? But then I was like, all right, I'm trying to, try to get that affiliate marketing.
Come
Yeah,
on.
there you go.
That's another stream of income, by the way.
That is.
That's
But
very true.
I was so touched. I was like, wow, like, when I did that interview with Chris and Jeff, you've done it. Tim, you kind of did that within our call,
Hmm.
but
Mhm.
like that alone did something in like promoting yourself. That was like
Yeah.
my
Hmm.
introduction to promoting yourself. So don't be scared of that. And I also stopped thinking like, who cares what people think? I'm here to make a difference. I have a goal. It may look cheesy, me
Yeah.
posting some pictures and stuff, but like I know what my ultimate goal is, and I'm confident in it.
Yeah.
And I think
That's
that's
right.
some stuff people don't understand.
That's good, G.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was awesome just to hear that, on the call and she's has a 9 to 5 too, so I think
Right.
this podcast is very appropriate for her. And she was on her way home from her 9 to 5, and she was just kind of asking questions about, time and time commitment, and how do you do that? And so it was definitely cool to have G on the call to hear her experience and why she joined the U. So
Yeah. I mean, this is what we do it for, right? Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
because you just never know who you like. We resonated with Chris, and now it's like there's people resonating with us now, which is
yeah,
And I
crazy.
that's
get that all
crazy.
the time. I swear. I get people. I try to dedicate a day where I go, when you don't follow a person, when they message you on IG, it's in like the little request, and you got to
Hmm.
go intentionally look for that to respond.
Yeah.
Every
Mm.
week I have somebody that reaches out. Hey, I watched your video. I did this. I did that. I
Mm-hmm.
got a question.
Yeah.
And those are seeds that are planted that when we first did what we didn't intend for it to do that. We were just sharing our
No.
stories.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true.
Like what G said, Tim, even what you did on the call, because you've done some amazing things in real estate.
Right.
Like you planted seeds in somebody's heart that if they nurture those, part of their success will be part of your story.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
what I'm most passionate about. And I don't know, like I love it. I
I do too.
love being able to do what I am passionate about and influence people. That one of the month I told you guys that we had did $78,000. A good chunk of that was a package deal. It was two quads and a duplex. Those three those three deals, we sold them to the same investor, and I think that was like $62,000 worth of $62,000 worth of revenue.
Mm.
Mm.
That guy that I was helping out, the first conversation we had, it was when we had that ice storm. I don't know if y'all remember down here in Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
We had
That
a
was
remember
really
that.
bad
crazy.
ice storm. Yes. And I was at a fraternity brothers, their family at this point, because he's my fraternity brother too, but it was my fraternity brother's in-laws house. And we're sitting at their table and I'm working and I'm having this conversation with this guy. That guy, come to find out later, he didn't tell me then, he was going through chemotherapy.
Mm.
And so he had owned those pieces of real estate, and he realized that him going through that chemotherapy, he was not going to be able to keep the properties up to standard. He only wanted to focus on that.
Wow.
So I was an outlet that he was able to use to allow him to go through chemotherapy peacefully.
Mm,
And like, to me, that was just as important as the check that I got from that.
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. That's
Even my
powerful.
friend, my old friend that I just told you guys that had reached out, the
right.
story that's going on with his mom, I was a pivotal part in helping people, helping him out through that. That was just as important to me as getting the check. And so I think that's another thing, G, that we got to make sure we share with the people, that when your heart is in the right spot, good things also come to you.
Yes.
Like, you get paid for the
Absolutely.
value that you add. That's the thing that we get as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Go giver, being a go
Yeah.
giver.
Yep.
I don't know
Go giver.
if you guys have read that book. It's like one of my favorite books, and I've been telling everybody, like, go read that book, because again, we live in a society that wants to take from us, um, and we don't really focus on like giving back. And somehow we think, if I give too much, I'm giving myself too much. I'm not going to get anything in return. We think about ourselves,
Yep.
but like, if you just take that thought away and just give, it always comes back around one way or
Yeah.
another when you're helping someone. So I love that you came in with love,
Mm-hmm.
for to these deals and solving problems, because ultimately, as a investor, especially in wholesaling,
Yeah.
you're solving problems. You're solving someone's problems, whether it's a friend of yours, an owner, like whatever the case may be, a buyer maybe. We're here to solve problems and to give as much as we can, and somehow it comes back. So I think that's really important for people to learn, is like, don't worry about it. Just give with love, and the rest will follow back.
That's right.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's 100%.
Um, so all right, so we've talked about kind of like what got you to this point.
Mm.
Um, where are you at now? What sort of challenges are you dealing with now?
Mm-hmm.
Um, what pieces do you have in like your business? I'm assuming, based off our last conversation, you're working your way to stepping out of the business,
Yeah.
not working in the business.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
what's Jeff working on right now?
So right now it is finding the right people for the right spots.
Mm.
So this time last year, I only had one virtual assistant. Now I have 8. All right. We just hired
Wow.
our last one last Monday. And I think she's on this call. Shout out to Marby. She is
Shout
my
out.
Shout out.
yeah, she's my executive administrative coordinator, and she's just come in like challenging all kind of things and getting things together. This past weekend, G, for and Tim, for Christmas, Friday
Mm-hmm.
and Saturday, I didn't work now one bit. I didn't do one thing for
I
work.
love it.
And I hadn't been able to do that in probably like the last 7 to 8 months. Like 2 consecutive days where I didn't have to do anything and my business kept on flourishing is because of that.
Right.
So it's
Mm.
finding the right people for the right spot. So currently we got 4 cold callers. So that's outbound marketing we're doing. We got
Mm-hmm.
one person managing our inbound marketing, which is our text messaging platform. And then we also have a junior acquisitions manager. I seen Tony had said to come in and he popped up on here. Shout out to Tony. He's in
Yeah,
here
big
also.
big
Y'all
boss.
know about my boy Tony. Y'all know him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, he
put some
nice.
respect
He's
on my
smooth.
guy's name.
That's right.
He's the Filipino assassin, all right?
Yeah. Yeah. Tony
Um,
is.
but I
I love
just
that.
recently promoted him to a junior acquisitions manager, and he's about to transition to a full-blown acquisitions manager. So what I've done so far is I've removed myself from the entry-level tasks of doing inbound and outbound marketing. Tony is about to start making offers on every single one of the properties that we get for leads. And we're gonna train him to do that whole process with getting them to sign and all that.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to make sure that I continue to fuel the beast. And as I
Mm.
told y'all early
Yeah.
on, the beast is lead generation.
Yep.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse and repeat what I did with my inbound and outbound marketing again. So in a couple weeks, we're going to hire another cold caller. And my intent is to hire probably two to three more people to do our outbound marketing and inbound marketing, to the point of where Tony's tapping out. He's like, boss, I can't keep up. I can't keep up. All right. So when that comes, then I'm going to hire another acquisitions manager. And my goal is to only have to do disposition. All the transactions coordinating, all of the administrative tasks, recycling lists, different things. Marby is taking a lot of that off my plate, which is allowing me to have a much better work-life balance. So my goal for the year of 2022 is that by this time next year, all I'm doing is checking in, redirecting, and correcting. That's all I want to do. And cash and checks. Okay, let's be
That's
crystal
it.
clear.
No, making that money, getting
Hey,
that bag.
sounds like a new
Need to come
dance.
this way. All right. Don't put the wire in the wrong bank account. It need to come
Right,
over here.
right.
Because
Don't
then
send it to the wrong address.
That's a good problem to have. That's a good problem to have.
yeah. So that's all I'm wanting to do, and I'm thankful. A lot of my success is not just tied to what I'm doing. I have wonderful people that work with me. Every single one of my folks, they understand my vision. They understand the culture, and they've come into my organization, and they're adding to it. The Philippines just had a really bad typhoon that happened. And anybody who has virtual assistants, 9 times out of 10, your assistant was impacted by it in some fashion. One of my assistants was impacted much more than the others. And she just recently came back. Her name's Ivy. And her being back is like she adds a dynamic to the team that when she's not there, is not present. And that was my prayer for my company. I wanted to create a place to where people didn't have to come to work. They wanted to come to work.
Yeah.
They want to get it. So like in our chat, just the other day, they're like, let's go get it. Like who getting leads today?
Right.
Who locking up something today? Like that is my goal. I'm wanting to make sure that I create that and protect that so that I can exit out and I can go and I can start doing other things. Like we've already started purchasing real estate. We're closing on our first. It'll be 4 properties, 5 doors. We'll be closing on them next week, and
That's what I'm talking about,
Love
Jeff.
it.
Excited about that.
Congrats, my guy. I love
I
to see
appreciate
it.
that. And we need to go get 20 or 30 more for next year. That's my goal. I want to go get 20 to 30 more doors that we're gonna buy. So that's kind of what where we are right now, what I'm working on.
Man, that's beautiful, man. And shout out to you, man. And you've been inspiration to a lot of people within the U, and myself included. G, I know as well.
Definitely.
And just to know how you started, how you had some, blank months, not generating any income or anything like that, to where you are now is definitely inspiration for people. And coming from a 9 to 5 and now doing it full time is definitely something that people can resonate with, and do the same.
I resonate with it.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
taking notes here. I'm like, it's funny on our conversation last week, Jeff. I was literally like, like it's again just part of learning.
That's
constantly learning and reaching out, and we definitely appreciate you. I have a few ending questions that I want you to leave the audience with, but I think we had one question from somebody. Let me post it and then we can kind of answer it together. So Janine, initially, did you all buy a distress list, skip trace, sign up with the dialer, cold call, and then was able to get a deal and find a buyer? Basically, did you do it on your own the first time?
Initially, did you buy a distress list, skip trace, sign up with a dialer, cold call? So initially, no. What I definitely did was buy a list, right? I can't remember. Actually, that list came from Propelio. So when you use Propelio or PropStream, you have a certain amount of free records. I think it's 10,000 records that you're able to download a month. my first deal came from one of those lists. And so it kind of signed up with the platform. I did skip trace it, but I did not have a dialer. I
Mm.
was calling by hand.
Right.
um, and so, I did not get a dialer until after I got my first deal. Then I, kind of doubled down that way. So, but I did do it all on my own the first time.
Yeah.
What about you, Tim?
Um, I did it on my own the first time as well. I did get a list by a list from GeoPoint, Chris's link from there,
Hmm.
and then he
Hmm.
had I think it was absentee 60 plus, and that's what I called first. And then I actually got a dialer, so I had a dialer set up, cold called, and that's how I got my first deal
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, same here. I was the kind of person, I needed to have the things lined up before. See, you guys just like went for it. I went for it, I guess, in a different way. I signed up for Chris. I knew nothing about wholesaling. Like it was his he used to do these brief like meetings, webinars. So I jumped in and again just kind of resonated with him and I literally I got my credit card paid for to get in the group, and then I started following the course and I had no idea how to do it. I was like literally doing like watching his course and then also YouTube University on like the what was it, the what's that website called, the hack to like get the cash buyers zip code, list
Um,
source, the list
Bliss
source hack.
Source, yeah,
So I did buy a list through GeoPoint. I skip traced it. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like skip tracing, like what is this? What does this mean? Got it all right. I got the dialer, everything all set up, and just started like making calls on the weekends. And that's how I landed my first deal. I think a couple months too, from the time that I started. So there's different ways to do it. There's not
yeah,
one way. The main thing here that we all did is we took action. We just did it. We had no idea what we were doing, but we knew we would figure it out as we went. Jeff certainly figured it out. Quit
yeah,
his nine
for
to
sure.
five like 6 months later. um, and now he's buying properties. So I mean, that sounds pretty boss to me.
Yeah,
Um, there you go.
That's
You got.
Marby right there.
There
That's
we go.
yeah.
Marby. That's my
Hey,
boy.
shout out to Marley.
Shout
What's up,
out.
Marby?
Yeah. All right. So I got two questions I want to kind of end it with. I
Okay.
want you to elaborate. So if you could do it all over again, this whole wholesaling real estate, getting into real estate,
Mhm.
is there anything you would do differently?
Not one thing.
Mm,
If I could do it all over again, I would have done it years ago.
yeah, yeah,
This is when you come from. I was born and raised as well, not born, but I was raised in Southwest Little Rock. Little Rock is rough. All right. Um, I was raised in a single parent household. All I wanted to do was to do what I thought was the American dream, which is what we talked about earlier. Had I knew about this avenue to get into financial freedom, man, where would I be at right now?
I know.
If I would have
Mm,
done this 10 years ago, where would I be at right now? So for
yeah.
anybody who is like, I don't know if I should get started, I don't know how I should get started, you should start yesterday. End of story. Just
Yesterday.
Right.
start.
Right.
That'd be the
Right.
only change I would make.
Yeah, I think we talk about that a lot too. I mean, I'm a first generation. Both my parents were immigrants, and that also comes with like getting. That's also one of my goals is getting people of color like the
Hmm.
Yes.
financial education that they need, and seeing
Yes.
people like us. Like I didn't
Yeah,
have that growing up. We didn't have that growing up,
That's right.
and to see people like us in power with money and doing it for the good, I think that it's such a huge change that our future generations are
Yes.
such an advantage, and I like love to see like 15-year-olds, 18-year-olds reaching out like, all right, how can I do this?
yeah. I love
Because
that.
again, if you think about like when I was 15 in high school, like imagine like what coming out of I wouldn't have gone to college. I
Yeah.
would have just gone straight to wholesaling.
Yeah,
Like,
Hmm.
but you are where you're at for a reason.
That's right.
yeah,
So
that's right.
That's
yeah.
good. My daughter, she started a business, her and her friends.
Oh, shout out to her.
They
That's
Okay.
started this
awesome.
business where they're
Yeah.
doing bracelets and everything. And one day, I can't remember if it was my wife that showed me or I just seen it on the island. My wife had my daughter wrote a business plan. She spelled
Mm.
business wrong. Uh, she had like
Hey,
the different members, the different titles, and all that. And I was just like, that is a direct reflection of her hearing and seeing what me and my wife are doing. That is inspiring her at the age of 10 to
Mm,
do that.
leading by
that's
That's
amazing.
example.
that's amazing. So
That is amazing.
yeah,
I
And
love to see that.
I honestly think this is a different topic, but I think we need to introduce at an early age, these terms, business terms. A lot of the kids learn, Apple, Orange or whatever. How about assets, liability, just like
Man,
those words.
taxes.
Yeah, taxes,
yeah,
whatever, early on. So they have some education on what finances are, what business is, and they're not thrown into the cycle at school of, working for somebody as well. So,
that's right.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, I don't use geometry. Like, I don't know why that was a
Right.
course. Like,
right.
My wife,
Yeah.
my wife is a history buff. I don't use history. Like it
Yeah.
was so
right,
many. I was thinking about this. I was working out one day and I was like, man, it's so many classes that I paid. Like I paid to take those classes in college. That
right,
Yeah.
what if they taught you money management? What if you had to take an entrepreneur course
Right.
or
right.
those different types of things? What would that do for people? But
Hmm.
once again, we're just taught to be workers.
System, search
And
Yeah.
so,
government,
yeah,
well,
you're
that's a whole
taught to
other
be a worker.
conversation.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a
Right.
whole nother conversation, like you said.
Mm, I love that. So, my last question, some of you to think about for our listeners and people who are going to come back and watch our video, um, who have a 9 to 5 and want to divorce their 9 to 5 at some point. Uh, Not including myself. Maybe you're talking to me too, but they want to pursue they want to pursue their business full time. What do you want to leave them with today?
Yeah. So the first thing is to do it scared.
Mm.
Do it scared. Don't think that there's gonna be a light switch that's gonna come on that's gonna say, all right, I'm ready for this. Now you need to. This is the literal Jeff speaking. You need to have cash reserves that are going to supply you, I would say, a minimum of 6 months worth of your previous salary to be put back to support you, because real estate is cyclic. Some months are going to be great, some months are not going to be so great.
Hmm.
But when you run a business, you're trying to make that line as straight as possible. So you need to have cash reserves put back. You need to prepare your significant other that it's about to be a grind. There's a meme out there that says, "Man, I quit my 9 to 5 to work 24 hours a day."
Right, right.
Right. Right.
You need to have a legitimate conversation and say, "Listen, this is the grind part. I need you to support me in this. I need you to help me through this. This is the support system that you need."
Right.
And then the third thing I would say is that you definitely should be in a community, because that community is going to help encourage you on those days. Unless you're Superman,
Hmm.
it's one of three areas that you operate in: below your expectations, meeting your expectations, or exceeding your expectations. Unless you're Superman, you're never going to just operate. You're always going to operate in exceeds. There are days that I operate in below. Like
Hmm.
I messaged Eric Bryan. Shout out to Eric Bryan in the
Shout
Shout
U.
out to
out.
Eric.
Last
Shout out,
week,
Eric.
he paid his mother's and his father's mortgage for an entire year for next year.
I
That
love
is
that.
major. Just this morning, I watched that video because I needed that to fuel me for what I got to do today. So
Hmm.
you got to
Mm,
have Eric Bryant's in your life. You got to have Tim's. You got to have Gladia's in your life that is going to speak life into you when you don't feel like doing it. And I
Yeah.
think if you do those three things, I really think that'll set you up to be successful with divorcing your 9 to 5.
Man, that's so true. I
oof.
mean, we got to have Jeffs in your life too, man. So,
Right. I'm just saying. I got a picture of you somewhere in here.
it's funny.
Man, hey Tim, it's a little hot in here, man.
Yeah,
Hey man,
man.
so
Yo,
flames
Freedom
is
some
being
Flames
dropped.
is,
freedom
yeah,
flames, man. It just dropped.
Let's
you
be
know,
clear. Flames are being dropped right now. All right.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So how can we follow you, Jeff?
Yeah.
Like
How we can get a
you got
hold of you.
your social media game. Like what's going on with the content?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, JTrim1906 is my handle on Instagram. Facebook, you can find me at Jeff Trimble. You guys are the first people that I'm even gonna tell this to, but my wife and I are creating a couple things. So, number one, we are about to create something that's called the Drop Out Hotline.
Ooh.
So, for anybody
Mm.
who watches this video or anybody who follows me, if you want or have any questions, you will be able to schedule time to talk with me. 30-minute increments, hour increments. I will be completely yours. Obviously, that is paid, okay? But
Mm-hmm.
you will be getting flames because I'm a dropper. I'm not gonna hold
Mm.
them back. All right.
Wow.
Um,
Mm.
we will also be coming out with a course. There's gonna be a
Ooh.
course that will be dropping in a few months.
I love
And
it.
the niche of the course is to help people get their first contract or get their first deal. That's it.
Mm.
And
Mm.
with that course, it will be a community that will be tied to that, and it'll be more coming. But I want you guys to be aware of that because if y'all are interested, hit your boy, the 9 to 5 Dropout Hotline.
I love it.
Oh man.
Man, man. Hey, take advantage. I mean, you heard it here first, so take advantage of it.
This
For
is it,
sure.
y'all. Hey,
Yeah.
y'all got it. That's fresh news right there. Okay,
Yo. Hey, price is going up, so
price is going up.
but yeah, hey, I would pay for that. You're talking to Jeff, so uh,
Absolutely.
don't get
Absolutely.
it twisted. Jeff, it's such a pleasure. I cannot wait for the stuff you have coming out. Super proud of you.
Yeah.
Kind of we've kind of all started the journey together. We're all have
Yeah,
different journeys, and that's okay.
yeah,
But the one thing that hasn't changed is like our support for each
Yeah.
other, love for
that's
each
right.
other. It's literally family. If you're in the U, like expect this kind of like love.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and it's definitely love. I love what you're doing for you and your family, Jeff. Tell Tim all the time how much I appreciate him. I appreciate you,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
and everything you've done for this group, for us.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I'm ready for the. I want to stay hot, so I want
Yeah,
to keep the flames going.
Yeah, it's
So
hot.
I can,
right.
yeah.
I
It's hot in
appreciate that.
here.
Hey, it
Yeah.
will be. This is our logo, the 9 to 5 Dropout. Let me scoot
There you
over.
go. There you
I,
go.
I yeah,
There's
I
gonna
see
be
it.
some merch coming soon. All right. There's gonna be dropout hats. We're gonna have a lounge wear. We're gonna have t-shirts, v-necks. It's
Okay.
gonna be a lot
Loungewear.
of
Ooh,
hey,
What?
listen,
getting comfy.
You gotta be comfortable on
it's
the
going all
phones.
the way up for 2022. All right. Let me
I
just say
love it.
that.
I
That's
love
it.
it. Hey,
That's it.
send us the link when it's ready because I'm
I
gonna
sure
definitely
will.
pop in.
Yep.
All right.
Definitely. I
Well,
appreciate you,
fam,
Jeff, man.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's
no,
Absolutely.
it's
Thank
been
you
great.
guys. I appreciate the opportunity. Man, for y'all that are watching this platform, this is amazing. Gladia and Tim are really good. They're family. They're family to me. But this platform is amazing for anybody who is wanting to have any type of value that's going to be added. So I encourage you, if this is your first time watching this video, you should absolutely go look at the other videos and you should follow this platform. It's every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard, right?
yep.
8 a.m.
Yep.
Pacific and 9 a.m.
That's correct.
Eastern Standard.
We got the time zone. It's all
There.
good.
There you go. Hey, follow, get the
Hey,
bag. I
thank you.
appreciate y'all.
I
Yes. All right.
appreciate
I
you too.
appreciate you. All right, fam. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Real Estate
Yes.
Gladia, Mr. Tim, REI. Jeff, appreciate you, my guy.
Yes.
We'll catch y'all in the next one.
All right.
All right.
Appreciate y'all.
All right. Late.
All right. See you.